Chris Flores. So in 1997, Apple launched its Think Different campaign. And at the end of one of the commercials, it said that the ones who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who do. And I stand here tonight, one of the crazy ones, somebody that thinks they can change the world. And my hope for the next 4 minutes is to convince us that there's a vision that it's not naive to think we can change the world. And we're going to look at that through exploring aligning finance with social impact. So why social finance? Well, in 2011, $300 billion was given away to charity. But in 2011, there was $13 trillion of net investable assets in the United States. That's $130 of capital for every $3 given away to charity. So what would it look like if we aligned our capital with the social mission that we're passionate about? And so to put this into perspective on how it works is through shareholder advocacy. And in 2006, there were a group of investors who were kind of disturbed by Apple's e-waste recycling policies and performance. And so they bought shares of Apple, went to the annual shareholder meeting, and proposed a shareholder resolution. They met with Steve Jobs, and eventually, when it was all said and done, they created new policies and procedures to put them on par with the rest of the industry. Now, maybe Steve Jobs acted out of competition to keep up with Dell and HP, or perhaps Steve Jobs recognized that there's an opportunity to provide long-term, sustainable value to shareholders. And research now suggests that when you engage a company in this type of activity, they see a 1.8 to 4.4% abnormal return over the next 12 months. Now, diversity is another way that you can engage a corporation with your capital. But I'm not talking about quotas. Diversity as an investment concept is much more than that. Studies actually now prove that when boards have at least 3 women represented, those companies outperform their peers 66% when it comes to return on investor capital. Yeah, absolutely, and there's a lot more statistics out there I'd love to talk to you about. Another opportunity to align capital with a social issue is water. Now, we've heard about this from the charitable side of things, but 3% of the world's water is fresh. Of that, 1% is accessible by humans. But we have a growing world population, and we're going to need new technologies and resources to keep up with that demand and the scarcity that exists. And so this provides us a great opportunity to invest in these technologies, to find these resources and be a part of a social solution. And when it's all said and done, these are not pie-in-the-sky ideas. We can see true impact with our dollars, with our capital, with our resources to create that social change that we desire to see. And social enterprise is another opportunity for us to use our resources, use our capital to create impact. And there's a lot of great examples across the world, but I love Ben & Jerry's because they brought a business to scale, sold it, and they continue to promote a social mission to create equality and better human rights around the world. Rockefeller's Pizza here in Cincinnati is another example. We're not short of those. They donate profits to fund water drilling efforts in Jos, Nigeria. And then there's a new startup here in town called Be Ohio Proud, which is all about encouraging us to be proud of the place that we call home. And they give 15% of their profits to sustainable enterprises and nonprofits in Cincinnati for environmental purposes. And then Cincinnati is now home to its first certified benefit corporation, Engage Partners. They had to meet strict criteria around accountability, community involvement, environmental practices, to name a few. And then there's 3 organizations I'm extremely passionate about because they provide opportunities for employment for people with checkered backgrounds. And Green Recycling Works and Venice on Vine were started by 2 nonprofits as a way to generate revenue outside of traditional donation dollars. And with the history that Cincinnati has for marketing and innovation and this budding startup community we have, what would it look like if we aligned these resources with business ideas that created not only profits in return, but social impact? And so I leave you with a paraphrase from Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and that's if a man is called to be a street sweeper, he should sweep streets just as Michelangelo painted, Beethoven composed music, or Shakespeare wrote poetry. So as you leave here tonight, my hope is that you look at what you have and where you're at as vehicles for impact. And I stand here convicted as ever that I'm I'm going to change the world, and I hope that you join me in that great mission. And so thank you so much for your time, guys. I really appreciate it.